Boy, what a great victory this week by the Rams. The NFC title champs beating their arch rival San Francisco 49ers. What a big victory this was by the Rams, and I'm excited. Listen, there's a lot to say here, and I think for those of us that, have followed the Rams for a very long time, we know of a difficult history over the past, let's call it 4 decades, the Rams have had with the 49ers. I can't tell you how monumental this victory was here this past Sunday in the 2022 NFC title game. A little bit of redemption, right, from the 1989 NFC title game. Of course, that was the game with a phantom sack with Jim Everett. And Ram fans have had to live with that for not only 30 plus years, but even more so watching the 49ers win lots of Super Bowls all through the 80s and the 90s for that matter. And here we are now. We had this matchup where the Rams lost 6 straight, and a 7th looked almost inevitable as they went down by 10 going into the 4th quarter. But here came Matthew Stafford, the gunslinger, throwing it all over the place, bringing the Rams from behind. And really, in many respects, I think, guys, this is a critical victory in Rams history. Now, I believe, as I've been arguing, the Rams need to win a Super Bowl in Los Angeles. The one in St. Louis, it's nice. It's there. We're always going to appreciate it, right? Greatest show on turf, Warner, Bruce, Holt, Falk, all those guys. But the Rams have to solidify the fan base in Los Angeles, which they've lost. As I've told you guys before, when you combine the 22 years in St. Louis, and really, another 12, 13 years roughly in Anaheim, the Rams have been out of Los Angeles for 35 years. That's where the fan base was lost, right? This is why San Francisco traveled. This is why so many red jerseys in the stadium. But the Rams need to win the Super Bowl to win the heart of the city. And I think this was a proper step in that direction now. Got to finish your job. Got to get to the Super Bowl. You got to defeat the Bengals. But if the Rams can win this Super Bowl, it'd be huge for the old timers, for those of us guys that are stuck with them through thick and thin. And quite frankly, I think they got a good shot at winning this game. Being a Rams fan, lots of ups and downs, but the downs are really rough, right? When you lose a game, for example, Super Bowl 36, when the Rams came in heavy favorites against the Patriots and they lose that one. And then, of course, you got Super Bowl 53, where the Rams only put up 3 points. I don't take anything for granted. I know there's a lot of people out there, the Rams are too powerful, too strong over the Bengals, but this is football. Anything can happen on any given Sunday. You gotta respect the Bengals for what they've done. They got a good young quarterback here, and I expect actually a tough game. But what I will say is the Rams are battle tested because they do play in the strongest division in the NFL, in my opinion. They had to go through their arch nemesis, the 49ers, who just, they punch people in the mouth, but the Rams were able to punch back this week in a big victory. So this is the way I look at it. In many respects, for a Rams fan, if the Rams can finish this off and win this Super Bowl, is there a greater storyline for a Rams fan? Not only do you beat your division rival in the NFC divisional round, but then you take out the GOAT, Tom Brady, the guy that beat you in 2 Super Bowls, and essentially not only beat him and gets some sort of redemption, but then he retires after that, really? And then from there, you play your arch nemesis, the San Francisco 49ers, who we've been waiting on this revenge game since 1989 in the conference final championship here. And now to possibly win a Super Bowl, that would be a dream come true. So many of the myths of the past, the struggles, the pain, the anguish of the disappointments of the past for this Los Angeles Rams playoff team can really be turned around here now. And you have a situation now where the city can be lifted. This Rams fan base has to grow. It is the smallest, one of the smallest in the NFL. And I think this is where it starts. But, I'll say this much. Watching those 49er fans walk out that stadium the other day after the victory of the Rams in SoFi was a beautiful thing to see. It's something that we've had to endure for a long time. Because if you remember the 80s, it wasn't just that 89 conference title game where the Rams were humiliated with that, they were blown out. You had the phantom sack of Jim Everett, right? But really throughout that whole decade, Montana kicked our asses, man. I venture to think, and I haven't looked up the stats, there wasn't very many games that the Rams actually won in the 80s against the 49ers. Maybe in the early part, but I'm not even sure about that. But I know from like 83, 84, all the way to 89, I dare to say the Rams only won a couple of games against the 49ers, if that. I know they won at least one, but I don't remember. I got to look up that history. But it's been brutal throughout history. What's happened with the Rams since the 80s and the 49ers? I think the Rams had a lot more success in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, where the Rams were the better team, obviously. But since the 80s, it's been pretty tough. 49ers have had our number. Don't get me wrong, we had some good years in the 2000s with the greatest show on turf. 49ers went through kind of a down period there, so we got to beat them there. But losing 6 straight, going to this conference final, 33 years really after the fact, losing to them in the conference final in '89, just a beautiful sort of moment of redemption for us old school fans that go all the way back, that remember the difficult times of the '80s and the '90s that the Rams went through against the 49ers. But I'm really looking forward to the Super Bowl. I'm nervous about it. I just have learned, with these, the Rams have had some tough Super Bowls. You go back to Pittsburgh, to Super Bowl 14. The Rams were in that game. They were overmatched. They were heavy underdogs, but they hung in there until the very end, and the Steelers put it away. That was a heartbreak. We get to Super Bowl 34 against Tennessee, and again, heavy favorite. This time the Rams were heavy favorites, and that thing came down to 1 yard. 1 yard. You go to Super Bowl 36, Rams, heavy favorites, one of the biggest favorites in history, and they get upset. And then we get Super Bowl 53, and the Rams only put up 3 points. The path to Super Bowl victory is not easy. It's never been easy, especially for the Rams. And so that's why, with the 4 experiences that I've lived through with Rams Super Bowls, I don't take anything for granted. It's going to be a tough game. The Bengals are a good team. They're well coached. You got a McVay protege coming in. These two teams offensively are a mirror image of each other. But I do think the Rams have a strong advantage when it comes to defense, especially defensive line. I think the Bengals with their weaker offensive line could be a problem. But, Joe is a scrappy kind of guy, Joe Burrows. And I think you're going to see him make some things happen, get out of the pocket. The one thing I will say is that where the Rams, I think, have a big advantage is not only with the pass rush, but because they play Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson every single year. The kind of quarterback that knows how to get out of the pocket and scramble and make things happen. The Rams have had to learn how to play defense against these kind of quarterbacks. And so I'm not sure if Burrows is equivalent to anything like that. But my point is that if he's going to have to move out of the pocket in order to survive the Rams pass rush, I think the Rams can get to him. I think the Rams can chase him down. That's the point here. And so, we'll see what happens here in the Super Bowl. But first things first, Rams are your NFC Conference champions. It was a great game. Also, too, the way it broke down at the end, being down 10 in the fourth quarter. Impressed with Matthew Stafford, impressed with the offensive line. Unlike the Week 18 matchup against the 49ers, I thought the Rams ran the ball fairly well. It was a strange game because the Rams did dominate the first half, but they were down at halftime. And then once they stretched it out to 17-7 with about a minute and a half left, you're like, oh no. And then really it came down to Matthew Stafford's arm, and he really responded. Cooper Kupp, Cooper Kupp, he's shattering all single season records right now. I don't understand how he's not in serious consideration for the MVP, but he's put up the kind of numbers right now that are never going to be broken. Odell settling in, and let's give credit to that defense as well too. Raheem Morris has got them playing well, and this, remember, with 2 safeties that are kind of plugins toward the end of the season because of injuries, right? I mean, Nick Scott is playing great. Eric Weddle, they're calling him off the streets essentially, and this team is shutting down. So good stuff. I'm excited. We should all be excited for the Rams going on to the Super Bowl. But let's stay focused. Let's keep our eye on the prize. We got to win it. The city of Los Angeles needs a Super Bowl winner. The Rams need to solidify themselves in Los Angeles, start to earn and build that fan base again. Because remember, when you talk about 35 years out of the city, all these younger generation guys that are younger than me, I'm 50 years old, they all went to other teams. right? They went to the 49ers, they went to the Packers, they went to the Cowboys, right? They went to all these other teams because they weren't here to build that fan base. Granted, Rams are back. They've been here, 5-6 years now. McVay's been winning, third winningest coach in the NFL. I think he's starting to build it without a doubt. But that really needs the full fruition of a Super Bowl title here. That's going to solidify them here in Los Angeles. And I think they'll have the support of the city. And as younger generations kind of come into maturity and begin to follow the sport closer, you're going to see lots of young Los Angelinos jump on the bandwagon. And I think that's what's needed at this point in history. Got to rebuild it. Got a beautiful stadium. You're winning football right now. You got one of the most ingenious young coaches in the NFL, and you got an organization that wants to win, which is so polar opposite of what we saw in the 80s, right? Under Georgia Frontier, it didn't get more conservative. They didn't want to play their marquee players. Remember the Eric Dickerson trade? Basically traded Eric Dickerson, the best running back in the game, for a bunch of picks and things like that. None of it really worked out, right? You have a situation where the Rams never traded up and down the draft board. They kind of stayed in their positions, expecting the coaching staff simply to coach up their players, which is fine. But you can see here with a very aggressive front office, a very aggressive general manager, and ultimately the owner, Stan Kroenke, you see the kind of magic they've put together, right? Where they're at the top of the league every year. They're making the playoffs every year, and they're really motivated here to bring a title to Los Angeles. Let's hope they can pull it off. I think this is exciting times to be a Rams fan. I said it earlier, when they made the trade for Von Miller and they picked up Beckham, off the off of waivers after the Browns cut him, the one thing I said is, listen, I don't know if this means they're going to win a Super Bowl ever, right? But it is fun being a Rams fan, right? I mean, we just expect it now to go out and get big name players to come in here, swing a bunch of trades, screw them picks, throw them all the way around. And at the end of the day, they still draft well in the middle to lower rounds, right? Because one of the things you've been hearing lately, and it's a false really argument in many respects, is that, well, the Rams have no depth. The Rams are very top heavy. Colin Cowherd has been making that argument. But when you look at the Rams, they got tons of depth, right? They have, what was the stat that I read today? They're the number 6 team that has the most homegrown players that were drafted. And that shows you that the Rams are just willing to trade away first-round picks, but pick in the middle rounds. They got a great scouting department, and we've seen great examples of this, right? I mean, the Rams were hit by COVID exceptionally hard toward the end of the year. I mean, they were pulling scrubs off their practice squad and winning ball games, right? I mean, look at Kendall Blanton in the last game. Higbee goes out, this kid steps up, has a huge game. Who is Blanton? Who is this kid, right? I mean, he had one decent game, I think, during that COVID crisis kind of a thing, right? But he stepped right in and put in productive minutes. Look at Scott in the secondary over there, who's just nailing guys. He's playing above average safety position for a guy that was plugged in because we lost Rapp, we lost Fuller, right? Steps right in. He was a 7th round pick. Skowronek, right? Another 7th round pick. I wish the kid would have caught the ball in the end zone, but he's dynamite on special teams, right? I mean, we got a bunch of 5th, 6th, 7th round picks that are playing at a pro level, which really takes the argument away that the Rams are a top heavy team. Right. And I think the other narrative, too, has been lately that I don't like, has been the argument that the Rams somehow are a super team. They put together a super team. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, this isn't the NBA where you got a LeBron James and a Dwayne Wade and a Chris Bosh that all get together and collude together out of free agency to build a super team to win titles. The Rams have given up real assets in order to build the team that they have. Right. I mean, they got critiqued for trading all these draft picks away to get Stafford. They got critiqued for trading a 2nd and a 3rd for a 1-year contract on Von Miller. And then Odell Beckham was a throwaway. He got cut by the Browns. No, Browns didn't want him anymore. I mean, these are just opportunities that the Rams find. And the Rams have learned how to use their capital, their draft capital, different than other teams. And when you look at this thing, right? I mean, look at the Matthew Stafford trade. What's essentially the trade here? They gave up Goff, a 2022 first, a 2023 first, and a 3rd. The 3rd rounder was effectively a comp pick, right? I think they gave up their pick, but they got a comp pick for when that personnel player went to Detroit and they lost that high level personnel guy in the front office. So the Rams got a 3rd round pick. just for losing that GM over Detroit. And then that's the GM that they traded with to get Stafford. And if you look at it, they got rid of the golf contract. The Rams' first-round pick this year, at the very best now, if they lose in the Super Bowl, it's going to be the 131 pick. And next year, this team is going to be good too. It'll be at the bottom of the draft. So effectively, they gave up a bad contract at Jared Goff, a low first, early second rounders basically is what they are, and a third rounder that they received back in a comp pick for the GM that they gave up, or that personnel player that they gave up to the Lions. What did the Rams give up for Stafford? Not much, to be honest with you. And because they draft well in the middle and lower rounds, it was a brilliant trade. And here we are. I mean, hey, he's slinging the ball away to beat the arch rival 49ers in an NFC title game. It was beautiful, guys, beautiful. Now we got to get ready. Got about another week and a half, roughly, to get ready for the Super Bowl. Don't take it for granted, guys, but enjoy the moment as well, too, because, you know, as Ram fans, we've been through a lot of ups and downs. You know, that period after that 89 NFC Conference game, right? The organization really went down for about a decade until the greatest show on turf. Then we have 4 good years there to celebrate in St. Louis. And then after that, we kind of went down the drain as well, too. And then we suffered for about 15 years until McVay got here. Lots of bad years for the Rams over the past 30 years. But now under the McVay era and Stan Kroenke era, really, we've turned a corner here, and this is exciting to be a Rams fan. It's fun being a Rams fan. I got to tell you, you know, especially for a team that doesn't have a big fan base. You know, you can talk to me about the Patriots. They've been great. Don't get me wrong. You talk to me about the Packers. They got a great fan base over there. But look what these organizations are going through now, while the Rams are really leading the way. They're the marquee organization now. They're in the media. They're in the press. Everybody's talking about them, and they're winning lots of ball games now, right? Enjoy this moment, Rams fans. Remember all those lonely years when we were losing? Remember those? Right? They're long gone. At least for now they are. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy your Super Bowl. Oh, it's beautiful. Beating the 49ers in that conference final. This is Frank signing off for Rams Talk. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.